morning.
So I forgot to bring my math book in today.
You can use the online version.
Yeah, I didn't know there was one.
Yep, yeah, it's in the unit folder for this unit called rational number. There's my little dot. And then, how are you? Fire for me. Awesome. And then, I'm gonna trade you. You're gonna go down to the first name for your extension test. You're gonna finish the test and then you can pop back up. Sound plan? Don't forget, you have your workbook, or you can use it if you want to borrow one. Wait. Your percent workbook, you want to go yellow?
What about like
Yes, they are right over there next to mine.
that's like the real great one. I have 3.5 on it hasn't been that bad. Jim hasn't updated and literacy has no.
Do you like the lights off or do you like the lights on?
This one may not be here on Friday.
You're getting a puppy? What kind of puppy?
A Bernedoodle.
Wait,
Yeah,
what?
it's a bird. It's a breed.
Wait, how do you spell that? Wait, sorry, wait, I need to go. Oh, that's what my math extension wanted to watch with Mr. Beats. If they did their work for the majority of the period, then they got 5 minutes, Mr. Beats. No, we have stuff to do. But real quick, I do want to look at this puppy. How do you spell this? Oh, doodle. Oh my gosh, it's gonna be so cute. Just so that everyone, what? Oh, for your spiral that you're supposed to turn in.
It's hard to do your thing on your phone. You can't use the calculator app because you deleted it on our iPad.
No, you didn't.
They got a new calculator.
There's a new calculator. It's like number 42. But here's the thing.
Oh, I didn't do it.
You can only here. Pause real quick. Everyone at home. This is the puppy we are looking at, and this is the puppy that Meredith is getting. It's really cute.
That's so cute.
That is a really cute puppy. But okay, so yeah, you do have a new calculator up. It's like 42 something. But so one quick thing though. I don't know if I expressed this class yet, but granted we're in the beginning of our unit. This unit, at least the first half of it, is no calculator allowed. You can use it on your spiral still, but not on your homework. Because you're not going to be allowed to on horses or tests. Well, I know that you know how to do basic addition on your calculator.
Miss Morris,
Exactly. What's up?
is the spiral the 2.3
2.3.
one? Okay.
And while we're talking about spiral, I have some to return to you guys. And then you have some to give to me. Spiral 2.3. Okay, so then do I have spiral to collect from people?
No.
Thank you.
What happens if I did it online?
Well,
Figure out what I missed.
I like write on it online whenever I give you your score.
Okay.
And so it's just like whenever I hand it to you in here, you just have to go back to the assignment in Schoology and it'll have my writing on it saying what ones you missed for the ones you got right. You're welcome. Okay. That is done. Okay, so tonight, you guys have pages 16 through 16, not a typo, correction, not a typo on my part, correction on the typo on Eureka's part, because if you look at your book, you see that there are two page 16s, S16 and S16. You are completing both of them. So you're doing front and back of page 16. 1 through 5 should be front and back 2 pages. Okay? And we are starting on page 12. Oh man, did I? Oh no, I okay, but first, question. Oh, did I not grab yours? Thank you. But first, anyone have any questions on the homework from last night?
Miss Morris,
Yes.
I submitted the spiral on the Friday one since I'm not here.
That is perfect.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so no specific questions on the homework, or yeah. You can go to order. And then, so then if no one has any specific questions, we're going to go over, which ones were the two that I wanted to go over? I marked them in my book. Nope, that was yesterday. This is today. Ooh, I want to go over number 3. Purely because I think it's,
Miss Morris,
what's up?
I actually had a question on number 6.
Oh yeah, we can do number 3 and number 6. Let's start with number 6 though. Come on.
Thank you.
Do that. So you said number 6. That's over here. So it says, ooh. Okay, so this says, write a story problem that would model the sum of the arrows in the number diagram below. So basically, this one's super subjective. It isn't necessarily going to be like one where everyone has the same answer, because you're kind of writing a problem like the one in number 3 or in I guess number 1, but that would simulate this this number line. Does anyone want to share what theirs was? I have one. I'll give you mine. So I have, I'm not gonna write it because it's long. But I have that Jill got on an elevator and went to the 9th floor. So she got on the elevator, the lobby. No. Got on the elevator at the lobby, and she. Where at? Oh, it's they're at the office after lunch. Sure, you can. So for my problem, Jill got on the elevator and went to the 9th floor. So she started at the lobby and she went up to the 9th floor. When she went to the 9th floor, she accidentally pressed the down button and went back to the lobby. So she accidentally went this thing. instead of just getting out of the elevator, she's like, no, I'm gonna go all the way back to 11. And then she pressed the 5th floor, the floor that she was actually supposed to get on, and went there and got off there. So basically, it's just asking you to write a story that would kind of explain this number line. Does that help?
Yeah, thank you.
Now let's look at the, we're gonna look at number 3. So it says, if a football player gains 40 yards on a play, but on the next play loses 10 yards, what would his total yards be for the game if he ran another 60 yards? What did you count by to label the units on your number line? So this is a number line that we have to label. So whenever you're creating a number line, it's really important to make sure that you're picking an appropriate scale. In this case, would it make sense for me to have 1, 2, 3, 4 go by ones? If we know that he gains 40 yards on a play, then he loses 10 yards, and he ran for another 60 yards, this person is a really good runner, I guess, because he's running a lot. Would it make sense for me to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? We end up stopping at 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Does that scale make sense? No, we'd be off the number line from the very beginning. So instead, what I did is I counted by tens. So I did 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. And then I had -10, -20, -30, -40, 50, -60, -70, -80, -90, and -100. So you can adjust your scale by going every 2, every 5, every 10 in this case. So then, he gains 40 yards on a play. So I start at 0. Andrew, where am I going if he gains 40 yards? Wait, sorry, repeat that. Wait, we're starting here. We're starting where if he gains 40 yards on the play. So which 40? Left or right? Right. So we have to, he gains 40, so we go to +40. But then he loses 10, so then what am I doing? I'm going back to 30. Yeah, we're going back 10 yards or to the 30-yard line. Or no, but like football is kind of a number line, but kind of not, because it starts at 50 and goes its way out. But to go to the 30, and then it said, what would his total yards be for the game if he ran another 60 yards? Where am I going now? So I'm going to add 60 yards from my 30, and we would be at 90. So you'd be having a pretty good game so far. We don't know how. So, any other questions on the homework? Cool. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about, again, with our number line, but this time we're going to be looking at like kind of the relationship between some of these numbers, the relationship between our 2 and our 4 and our 6, the numbers we're adding together. This first one's kind of nice and easy because it's just basic addition. The one thing that I want to point out is that there are different names for the 3 different things that we have, 3 different values that we have here. We have our p-value. Our p-value is the place that we start. Then we have our q-value. The q-value is our second number. And to figure out our q-value when it comes to our number lines, we find the absolute value of our q-value. And what does the absolute value of that number tell us? Talked about this yesterday. What is the absolute value of, say, 4 tell us? Jackson?
Absolute value of 4.
Well, What does the absolute value of 4 tell us when it comes to drawing things on the number line?
Then it always was in a positive.
That's not always the case. We'll see that in the next one. So, the absolute value of 4, our p-value, that tells us how long our next arrow is. So it's not necessarily from 0 when it's our next one, because where do we start our arrow for our second number? So in this case, we went over 2, then where did we start the arrow for 4? From 2, right? So our Q value is one that we take the absolute value of, and that one is going to dictate how long our arrow is, and then the sign tells us which direction we should go. In this case, we have a positive sign, so we're going to the right, or want to start introducing the vertical number line. Looks the same as our horizontal number line, just upright. These are really helpful, I think, like when thinking about temperature. Temperature is a vertical number line. And when we go up, that is positive. When we go down, that is negative. Not too crazy stuff to think about. As things go up, they become more positive. As they go down, they become more negative. But so then let's look at this guy. This is why, I forget who said it now. Jackson, I think the idea about the positive. In this case, our absolute value of -4 is still 4. But we have this negative sign that tells us to go in the opposite direction. And again, we have our p-value, or our first one, our q-value, our second, and then we have our sum, what the two, when added together, what they equal. And think P comes before Q in the alphabet, so P is our first guy, Q is our second. But so now what we're going to do is, looking at this, we're going to kind of look at the relationship between these. So it says, counting up -4 is the same as the opposite of counting up 4, +4. And it also means counting down 4. So lots of similar words there. Let's dissect it a little bit. So counting up 4, if we look at that back on our counting up -4, if we look at that on our vertical number line, counting up -4, make sure I have my wording right, is saying is the opposite of counting up -4, which we can see. The red arrows here are counting up -4. But if we were to count up +4, we'd go up. Maybe. No? Oh, now there's a million of them. Cool. Oh, there's a million on my screen, but not on. Pause. Try this again. Try this again. There we go. You get to see my million whole time. But we see that it is the opposite of counting up, +4. So we can really say that it is also the same thing as counting down +4. So it's kind of like going up in a negative is really going down. These are things that you've done already really with the number line, thinking about maybe left or right, where left, adding a negative number is just going to the left. Now we're just thinking about it up and down. Okay, so if we had, so if we have -4 + 2, what did we talk about yesterday when it comes to addition? Can you change the order of addition, and does it change the sum? You can't change the order of addition? Here, let's try this. So we we are here on our number line. We had -4. Where would I go? Okay, so we're on this number line.
Oh,
We have four. We're starting at 0. I have a -4. Am I going up or down?
down.
Down. How many?
2.
Yeah, -4. It's like because they did 5 2s. But then we have to add a +2. So am I going up or down?
Up.
Up. Just a 2. So I end up getting -2, which is the same answer that I got here. So remember, addition is commutative. So you can change the order of it and it stays the same, even when you have positive or negatives. Sure thing. But let's now look at then, in this example, we have to first figure out what is the distance between 2 and its sum. There we go. So we're trying to figure out the distance between 2, or our p-value, and our sum, which what's our sum in this case? -2.
Miss Morris, does in the sum mean like the negative part or the addition part of it?
Wait, sorry, repeat that, correct?
So like, let's say it gives you let's say it would give you -4. The sum would be 4, right?
No, the
So
sum
just
is the whole
basically-
number. It's including the
Oh,
negative.
okay.
So the sum would be this whole thing.
So the sum would just be the positive number?
So it's the whole thing. It's like the sum here in this case is -2.
Oh.
The sum is like, think about it like when you did addition back in elementary school. Like the sum is
Yeah.
literally just like when you add these two numbers together, this is the answer you get. So it can be positive or negative.
Oh.
Yeah.
But like, how do you know what the other number would be?
What do you mean the other number?
Like, how would you find the distance between 2 and the sum? Like, how do you know what other number? Oh, the sum is just -2.
Yeah, so the sum, yeah. So it
Oh.
says, and here it is, what is the difference between 2 and the sum for the example above? So when we looked at this, we know that 2 was our p-value because it's our first number. And we know that our sum is -2 from this example.
That makes sense. So is the p-value, what's that stand? It's just the p-value because it's just like the positive value?
Well, it doesn't really stand for positive value. It's kind of just like they gave it a variable. There's the p-value and then there's the q.
Oh,
So it doesn't
that makes
equate to
sense.
positive. It just equates to the first value in your equation.
Okay, that makes sense. So like, if they give you that number first, you use that number and then add on the other number.
Yeah.
Okay.
And really, this p-value and q-value are going to just help us with what we're trying to figure out today, which is kind of about like distances and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But then let's see, how far apart are these two? How many units? What do we think? We'll look at the scale on this number line. No? 4, right? Because remember, this number line counts by 2s. So we'd go 2, 4. They are 4 units apart.
What a unit was a dash?
Well, so a kind of, but in this case, because we're counting by 2s, you would have to include, it's kind of like the distance between 0 and here is 2. Even if it doesn't have a dash to kind of represent it. And then, does our sum, let's first start with left to right. Does our sum, so we have 2, -2, p-value. For our horizontal number line, does the sum fall to the left or the right of the number line?
The right?
Okay, so we're trying to figure out here's our p-value. Here's our sum. When comparing our p-value and our sums, does the sum fall to the left or the right of the p-value?
The left.
To the left. And then how can we translate this? Oop. Wait, questions? I hear questions.
Sorry, I have a question. So, like,
Okay.
let's say that it says for each example above, what is the distance between -2 and the sum? Does that mean that it would start at -2 would be the p-value, and then the sum would have to be that, like, to get to the other four?
Wait, so repeat that?
So, like, if it says what's the difference between -2 and the sum, you would start with -2, and then you would go up to, like, 2, and then it would be 4 again.
Well,
that
so this question is kind of like framed with us knowing, like having this equation already like set for us. So
Oh, okay.
we can only change those numbers without like messing with that equation. It'll make sense as
Yeah.
to why we're figuring all this out, like towards the end.
Okay.
But so then the left, what is the equivalent of that in a vertical number line? Is it above? Is the sum above or below the p-value? Meredith, what do you think? Is our sum above or below our p-value? Here's our p-value. We're trying to figure out where's our sum. Is it above or below? Below. So this is for the problem. Oh, is it? Blanking on it. This is for 2 plus -4 equals -2. But now let's go back and look at our original. 2 plus 4 equals 6. So for that one, we have a p-value of 2. And we have a sum of 6. Oh, wow. So in this case then, starting with our horizontal, is our sum to the left or right of our p-value? You can just shout it out, whatever you think. Left or right of our p-value? To the right, and then what about up or down? Above or below? I heard up or above. Beautiful. So for 2 plus 4 equals 6, our sum is to the right or above. And this is going to come in handy as we start to think about their relationship. Because the next one is going to ask you to try to figure out what the distance is between two numbers without actually using our number line, without finding the sum. So it says, given the expression 54 plus 81, determine without finding the sum the distance between 54 and the sum. So obviously 54 and 81 are kind of hard to actually plot on a number line that we draw, right? They're larger numbers and they're not even like neat numbers that we can just throw on a number line. So based on what we just did when we found out that in the case of 2 plus -4 equals -2 and 2 plus 4 equals 6, our distance was 4 units. Just one was to the left and one was to the right, or one was below and one was above. Take a second and try to think about, in this case, what would be the distance between 54, which is your p-value, and your sum? without finding the sum. This is possible. Think about, like, where would you move on a number line? Try to think about that in your head. What are some of the moves you'd make to think about, like, how far away is it? Don't fall, don't fall, don't fall. Lil, what do you think?
Maybe 27.
Where'd you get 27?
I just did 81 minus 54.
Interesting. So, it's not going to be 27. It maybe be 27 if we were subtracting them. But we're not subtracting them, we're adding them. Emma, what do you think? 81. Ooh. And how'd you get 81? So if you think about it on a number line, and obviously I wouldn't turn off the whole thing, but if we were at 54, when we had to add 81 to that, we'd be going 81 spaces to the right and ending up at, what, that would be 135. So, from this we can see, and we can see the pattern also emerge in the thing we just did. The Q value ends up being the distance between our P value and our sum. We saw it in this guy, where the absolute value of our Q value ended up being the distance between our sum and 2. And we see it here, that the absolute value of 81 ends up being the distance between these two. So the absolute value of the Q value would be the distance between the sums. Distance between P value and sum. Back.
Well, I just put S minus 54 to the sum minus P, and then that equals Q.
Yeah, that's kind of, thank you. And that's kind of the like equation way of solving that. Absolutely. And we are in our new packet. We are on page. Not too much. We're just talking about the number line. And so then my number line kind of helps to show this. Is the sum to the right or the left of 54 on a horizontal number line? What do we think? To the right. And we can see that because we're adding more on. We're going further into the positive direction, so it's going to be right. And what does that mean for our vertical number line? Is that above or below?
Above.
I heard above. From the voice above.
I have a question, real quick. So, like,
Hold on one second, Caroline.
is the okay?
Who's on? What's up, Caroline?
Oh gosh, okay. Is like the first number that goes in like an equation, is the first one the P value and then the second one's the Q value?
Yes. Yeah, you want to think of the first number is the P value, second number is the Q value. Third
Okay,
number is
thank you.
the sum. So now I want you to do the same thing, but this time with the expression 14 plus negative 3. Without finding the sum, What is going to be the distance between 14 and the sum? Away from 54. So now we're trying to do the same thing over here with 14 plus negative 30. Trying to figure out how many units away would they be from each other. Someone at home, you want to take a crack at this one?
I'll try.
Go for it.
Okay, so it would be the distance is -3
But here's a
because
question.
it's going.
A question for you. Can distance be
Oh
negative?
wait, the distance would be 3. Sorry, it would be 3
Okay.
because
And
it's going down.
go
And
ahead.
it'll be to the left because it's going negative, so it's going like down or to the left.
Absolutely. So we have left or down or below. Beautiful. So again, we know that our Q value is -3. If we're trying to figure out how far away 14 is going to be from the sum, that is going to be the absolute value of our Q value. So the absolute value of -3 is 3. So it's going to be 3 units away. And then it's going to be 3 units to the left or below. And if we look at that, we can see if we that's 14 on our number line, and then we went 3 to the negative, it will get us to the left. Nope, I forget what room he said now, like 200 or 201? You're all good. Bye. Any questions on that? Basically, when we're given these two, our p-value and our q-value, two numbers are adding together, we can, without even finding the sum, figure out how far apart they are going to be on our number line. Exactly. Negative, though, we move to the left, or down. Positive, we move to the right. So I'm going to give you guys a couple minutes. I want you guys to work on A, B, and C. So all of these are adding some positive negative numbers together. B and C make you use a vertical number line. So take a second, work through them, and then I'm gonna ask for some volunteers to show me what you did. Cool. Okay. That's not my name. Okay, who wants to walk me through the first one? Evan, go for it. You wanna tell us what you did? What's up? Okay, sweet. Where do you want to start? Ooh, why'd you start at -2? Question. I think you might eventually end up there.
Oh, I started at 5.
But here, okay, so you are not wrong in your answer, but when doing our number line, we always want to start at this 0. So if we're starting at 0, then where do we have to go first? What's our first number here? Because we don't know that yet. We haven't done this yet. So, what's our first number here? -5. So let's add 2 more humps. One from 0 to -1, or -1, -2. So that's our first guy. But now we need to add 3. So how many spaces will we move and in what direction? Okay, so we do want to move 3, but we have a +3. So which one's our positive direction? Right, so let's go start at -5, and now we're going to move 3 to the right. And then where do we end up? -2, beautiful. So you took a couple shortcuts. Eventually we get -2. So remember, it's always super important to start at 0, then move the spaces of the first number and move the spaces of the second number. Someone at home want to show us number 2, or number 2, letter B. Lil, go for it. Can you annotate?
Yep, okay. So I went down to -6. Oh wait, hold on. Yeah, okay. And then I went down again 2, which brought me to, sorry, I gotta look at my paper. To 8, -8.
Perfect. I like it. I like it. So we have -6 plus -2 equals -8. Jackson, you want to do?
Why is it?
Good question. So Jackson asked, why is -2 in parentheses? We see it up here too with -8. Oftentimes you will see negative numbers put into parentheses because if we were to see it like this, -6 plus -2, our negative sign also looks like a subtraction sign. So the way that we kind of make it so it's not confusing is, unless it's at the beginning and we see that -6 that's at the beginning that isn't in parentheses, I could have put this in parentheses, but putting that in parentheses just kind of tells us that those two things belong together. What? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it just kind of pockets them together. There you go. And it's always the worst because your arm covers the spot you need to see. So what was your final answer? -1. I like it. So +7 plus -8 is -1. How'd we do? Any questions on any of those? Cool. So then, those little arrows are still there. So now it's asking us to kind of put all of this together. So it says, write an equation and use the number line to create an arrow diagram given the following information. So we know, it says the sum of 6 and a number is 15 units to the left of 6 on the number line. So we need to fill in, did this yesterday too. Get rid of that. We need to figure out what is the p-value, what is the q value, then ultimately in the end we will also be figuring out what the sum is. So, and it gives us some information. So again, let me read this one more time because I know it can be kind of like a lot of things thrown at you once. We have the sum of 6 and a number is 15 units to the left of 6 on the number line. So first, it does tell us like the ideas of what P is and what Q is. What are we trying to find the sum of in this case based off this information? One of them is going to be a concrete number. One of them is going to be something a little broad for now until we can figure it out. When it says the sum of 6 and a number is 15 units to the left of 6 on the number line. What are we trying to find the sum of? Oops, I heard something.
You're trying to find the sum of 6 plus something gives you, and it says 6, or it says 15 units to the left, which you know would have to be negative.
Okay, so I like this. So Caroline said the sum of 6 and a number. It tells us right there that we're trying to find the sum of 6 plus something else. So that helps us to figure out the first half of it. But then it says that the sum of 6 and this number is 15 units to the left of 6 on the number line. So based off of what we just talked about, anyone have any ideas as to what the Q value would be? Emma? -15. And why is that? Yeah, so we know that the Q value tells us how far away our P value or our first number is from the sum. And then absolutely it's going to be less because it's going to be negative because we are coming from the left. It's 15 units from left of 6 on the number line. So now let's go and let's figure out what our sum would be. So right now we have the equation 6 plus -15 equals. So we need to plot this on the number line. Violet, you want to help me?
Sure.
So where do I always start on the number line? Always start at 0, and then where am I going first? Okay, so left or right?
Oh, right.
So go to the right 6, okay?
And then we would go back to left 15.
Left 15. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So what would be our sum or our solution for this?
Your sum would be -9.
-9. And we see that our p-value and our sum are in fact 15 units apart from each other. So basically, when you're given only little pieces of the equation, we are still able to figure out what our equation would be. Any questions on this guy? Cool. Well, you guys get the last 5 minutes to work on your homework. Again, your homework is page 16 and 16. Not a typo. Well, kind of a typo, just not my typo. 16 through 16, numbers 1 through 5. For number 1, remember, it shows you it gives you an example line of what it should look like for those temperature changes. But if you are having any trouble, know that you can use, and let me pull my video so that you can use the little number line here along the side. Think of your number line like a thermometer. So this vertical number line on your homework can be very helpful when trying to figure out the rise and fall of temperature. Because again, a thermometer is just a vertical number line that we use to tell the temperature. Lil, do you have a question, or is that from before?
Sorry, that's from before.
Oh, no, you're good. So yeah, my people at home, you guys are free to go.
Thank you.
I
Have a
will
great rest of your day.
see you guys tomorrow.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.